So let us see this question. This came in MMD exam 7th February 2019. The speed of a ship is increased to 20% above normal for 8 hours and then reduced to 10% below normal for 10 hours. The speed is then reduced for the remainder of the day so that the consumption for the day is the normal amount. So find the percentage difference between the distance traveled in that day and the normal distance traveled per day. किसी भी प्रॉब्लम को like if you are approaching to solve any problem, you should first collect the data what all things is given. So let us collect the data first. The speed of a ship is increased to 20% above normal. So let us say normal speed Vn is equal to V. So increased speed will be with which it went for 8 hours. If we write as V8, it will be V plus 20% of V, that is 1.2 V. Then the speed is reduced to 10% below normal for 10 hours. So we represent that with V10. It will be V minus 10% of V. This is your 0.9 V. Speed is then reduced for the remainder of the day so that the consumption for the day is same as that of normal amount. So remainder, so how many hours are left now? 8 hours already ran, 10 hours already, 18. So 24 minus 18 is 6. So let us say the speed for remainder of the day is V6. Now the condition is given. The consumption for the day is the normal amount. So if we see, if we say that when the ship sailed with V8, in 8 hours the consumption was C8. When it sailed with V10 for 10 hours, so that for 10 hours the consumption was C10. When it sailed with V6 for 6 hours, the consumption is C6. So this is equal to the normal consumption for the day if the ship would have been sailed with normal speed. So this is the condition given in the ship, in the question, sorry. We have this information now. And what is it asking for? To find is percentage difference between the distance traveled in that day and the normal distance traveled per day. So if we say to find is percentage difference, if we say that on that day the total distance covered was dt and in the normal days the total distance covered is dn. So as per question this is being asked, ये क्या होगा? तो इसमें देखिए आपके पास क्या क्या इंफॉर्मेशन है इस इक्वेशन में. यहाँ पे इसको ले आए, परसेंटेज डिफरेंस dt V8 स्पीड के साथ आप 8 आवर्स जा रहे हो तो डिस्टेंस ट्रेवल्ड वाज V8 into 8, V10 के साथ आप 10 hours जा रहे हो, so distance traveled will be V6 के साथ आप 6 hours जा रहे हो, so distance traveled will be, so this is distance traveled on that day, that is dt. Normal day is dn. So with which speed? With normal speed, which is v. So 24 hours you went with v, or the ship sailed with v. Into 100. V8 is 1.2 V into 8. V10 is 0.9 V into 10. V6 we do not know. V6. So how much is this? 9.6 V. This one is 9 V. 6 V6 minus 24 V divided by 24 V into 100. 18.6. 18.6 minus 24 is 5.4 V with negative sign. In this equation, if you would have known V6 in the terms of V, your question was solved. But you do not have, at present you are not knowing V6 in the term of V. So your approach should be how to find the V6 in terms of V. So what will you do? Now you know that one condition is given in, one condition is given in the question. So we will use that condition. But that will be another tool for us which we have not so far used. So let us use that for C8, consumption for 8 hours. What will you do? You know this equation very well. And if we say, so before approaching that, let us say normal consumption Cn is x10 per day. Now let us see what will be the consumption per day when it goes, when the ship sails with V8 speed. So once we know for the day, we can calculate it for 8 hours. So FC8, you know this equation. Fuel consumption per day when the ship is sailing with V8, normal consumption. Fuel consumption when the ship is sailing with V per day will be in bracket you can write delta and specific fuel consumption constant, where delta and SFC is equal to constant. V8 is how much? 1.2 cube into V cube FCN. Sorry, this. We should take it as this. X10 per day we have written, so FCN. This is FCN, sorry. So you can simply multiply it with X. So 1.2 cube into X. What is the value? You can check here, 1.728x. 1.728 x10 per day. Now for per day we know per day is 24 hours. So how much consumption will be in 8 hours? Consumption in 8 hours will be this divided by 24 will be per hour into 6 hours. So how much is C8? 0.576 x ton. Similarly, we will work for FC10, consumption per day, fuel consumption per day when the ship sail with V10 speed for 10 hours divided by normal. Zero 0.9 cube is how much? FC10 is 0.729x. 0.729. 0.729 into FCN, normal consumption per day, which is X10 per day. So for 10 hours, consumption will be 29 by 24 into 10 x 10. How much is that? 0.304 x 10. What is left now? FC6 and C6. FC6 is your V6 cube by V cube into X10 per day. So C6 will be this is per hour into 6. This is 10. So 0.25 V6 cube by V cube into X 10. So C6 you got this much. Now use this condition C8 plus C10 plus C6. So C8 plus C10 plus C6 is equal to X10. So C8 is how much? 0.576x. C10 is how much? 0.304x. C6 is how much? 0.25 V6 by V cube into X. Your X is eliminated. Each term is having X. So you will be getting Vc by V cube as this is 53880.88. 1 minus 0.88, that is 0.12 cube root into V. How much is that? 0.12 divided by 0.783 V. Oh, that 0.25 is will come over here. We missed on 0.25. So the value of this is 0.783 V. So V6 you got in the terms of V, and that is what we wanted to find. Because V6, if we get it in the term of V, we can easily cancel out V. So your percentage difference, use this equation now. Your percentage difference is 6V6 minus 5.4V divided by 24V into 100. Put the value of V6 from here. Your V cancelled out. So how much answer you will be getting? Minus 2.925%. minus 2.925%. The answer has come in negative since you have kept the distance travel first in numerator. You have kept the distance travel first in the numerator. So that is, it means the distance traveled on that particular day is lesser than if the ship sails with the normal speed. So you should write in the comment, negative sign indicates the distance traveled in that particular day or in that day is less than the distance traveled if the ship would have sailed with normal speed. So then you will get the full marks because we have to mention minus. If at all, if you would have used dn in first place and dt here, then the answer would have been positive 2.925%. So in that case also you should write that the normal distance traveled is more than the distance traveled in that particular day. So the positive sign indicates that. So important for any question to solve is first you collect the data, what all things are given, collect in one place. Then you go for what is being asked. You write that. Once you have written that, from there you start approaching what all needs to fulfill or what all needs to know in this formula to complete my answer. Your approach should be this. So on the way, if you are stucking somewhere, you check the conditions. What conditions are given in the questions. So maybe you'll have to use that. And that will lead to your final answer. This is the write-up you can go through. The same way, 20% increased speed, 10% reduced speed, normal consumption extent per day, percentage different distance travel if you take it as dt, and normal distance travel d. So this you have to find. So this we had assumed d, v8, v10 and v6 when we traveled with. So we can say that it has covered a distance of d8, d10, d6 respectively. This is for the writing, for your easy understanding. But better you should write in exam like this, so that examiner understand what you're trying to convey. So what happens sometimes, even you do some calculation mistake, but your approach is correct, you will get the full marks. Not the full marks, at least 90% marks you will get. So total distance traveled dt will be d8 plus d10 plus d6. Now calculate for d8, v8 into 8, v10 into 10, d6. The total distance on that particular day is 18.6 v plus 6 v6. With normal speed is 24 v. So, but use the formula percentage difference between the distance traveled in that day with three different speed and the normal distance traveled per day is dt minus d by d 200. So you reach to this situation 6v6 minus 5.4v by 24v, but unfortunately you don't have v6 in terms of v. So your approach should be now find v6. So how to find v6? But you have the condition of the consumption, fuel consumption. So start using the formula of fuel consumption which you use, F8 by FV. So F8 is this much per day. Convert it into 8 hours. So C8 is this much. Same way for FC10 you get this one. So for 10 hours you'll be getting this. F6 we got this much in the terms of VC and V and X. So C6 will be this. So instead of assuming that this is Y and then again going to avoid confusion, I have removed Y. So the total consumption of fuel for the day sailing with this will be C8 plus C10 plus C6. So you got this equation. So you got V6 in the terms of V. Use this V6 in percentage difference equation here. You will be getting minus 2.925%. Negative sign you got because you have used the distance travel. You are deducting the distance travel, you are deducting the normal distance from the distance travel on that day. So it means if the distance travel on that day is less than the normal distance, so you will be getting negatives. So when you write the answer, you should write this. Negative sign indicates that the distance traveled that day is less than the distance traveled if it would have sailed with normal speed v. If you was using normal distance first or was deducting the distance travel from the normal distance, means d minus dt, then your answer would have come as positive. So there also you write the positive sign indicates that the distance traveled in normal day is more than the distance traveled in on that day. So hopefully you understood this. Any issues in understanding, you can write in the comment box. Mention the particular point. In the last video where I made this, the answer is correct. The approach is okay. Everything is okay. Only thing at one location by mistake, instead of coming it a value in numerator, that was by mistakenly typo. It has gone in the denominator. So that has to be corrected. Otherwise, that solution is also okay. Thank you.